Welcome to the East Angle, a podcast about the East, broadly defined, exploring international relations, politics, and history. When time allows, we will also delve into world events and our shared passion for football. I'm Ra Mason, and this is my co-host, Sherzod Muminov.
Hello everyone, recording from Heathrow Airport. Ra and I and the East Angle podcast are on our way to Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, where we will take part in
the Association of Asian Studies Conference, which is
the biggest Asian Studies conference in the world. They usually have about 3,000 delegates, lots of panels, so we are looking forward to attending some panels.
and flying the flag for the University of East Anglia, UEA.
Yeah, meeting some interesting academics. We hope it will be a good video. Let's see. Welcome to Canada.
So here we are, the East Angle in North America, standing here looking out over the Sound in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Yes, after over 10 hours of flying, we finally made it to Vancouver, Canada, where we will take part in this massive conference that we mentioned yesterday. And there will be some interesting conversations, and watch the space. So you did one round around the building?
I've done one round, pretty impressive venue, yeah.
Yeah, very big.
Yeah, beautiful rooms.
Hi, my name is Taku Tamaki. I'm a lecturer in international relations at Loughborough University in the UK. I research on Japanese foreign policy and apply international relations theory such as constructivism to my work.
Hi, I'm Laura Pozzi. I'm assistant professor at the Faculty of History, University of Warsaw, and a member of the Center of History, Memory and History at the University of Warsaw.
Yeah, my name is John D'Amico. I'm an assistant professor at the Center for Integrated Japanese Studies at Tohoku University, and I work on the economic and social history of early modern Japan, especially merchants, their money, what kind of power they wielded in late Tokugawa society. So.
Hi, my name is Ren Jenny Lindgren. I am a senior research fellow at the Norwegian Institute of International Affairs in Oslo, Norway. and I research the politics and foreign policy of Japan and the Indo-Pacific.
So, shall I go?
Yeah.
Okay, hi, I'm Patrick. I'm the director of the European Institute of Japanese Studies at Stockholm School of Economics, Sweden.
Well, I'm Nadine, and I teach Japanese history at the University of East Anglia. I teach modern history. Cultural and intellectual history is my favorite subject, and I'd say that I'm very keen on the Taisho period, which is you could say the interwar period in broad terms, but it's basically, strictly speaking, between 1912 and 1926, a period very interesting, especially for cultural reasons and all the different intellectual aspects that developed at the time. So I'm focusing on that at the moment and editing a volume on the Taisho period.
Hi everyone, my name's Ted Boyle. I'm at the International Research Center for Japanese Studies, Nichibunken in Kyoto. My research focuses on particularly borders, heritage, contestation over these, and I also edit the journal Japan Review that we publish.
Okay, first question. Please summarize your 20-minute paper in 20 seconds. Your time starts now.
I'm asking a question, what is the Indo-Pacific? And answering that question, whether it's a geographical space or it's a discursive construct, I try to find the possibility for an ontology of international relations. I know it sounds ambitious, but yes, let's try that. Oh.
Brilliant. Okay, second question. In your field or on your topic, what is the one most misunderstood thing?
What is the most misunderstood thing? Well, what role identity plays in Japanese foreign policy? Is it instrumental or is it more inherent, such as worldviews? So there are competing perspectives on how to use concepts such as national identity in Japanese foreign policy.
Oh, great. Great answer again. One question about Vancouver, because we are in Vancouver. What Japanese food item was arguably invented in Vancouver?
I have the slightest idea, although I did have ramen last night, so...
It is not ramen, but again, we will write down the answer. You will find out the answer later when the video is out. And final question, what color is the fridge?
Oh goodness, I think it's silverish gray, but I could be very wrong.
What does the cow drink?
Milk.
So, Laura, you presented a paper, or you are going to present a paper at this conference. Summarize your 20-minute paper in 20 seconds.
Sure. Today I'm going to talk about the representation of Cold War memories in two overseas Chinese museums in Thailand. One of them in Bangkok and one of them in the Chiang Rai, actually in the north of Thailand.
Oh, great. And speaking of your topic and your specialization, what is one misunderstood thing in your field or on that topic?
On the topic, one misunderstood field.
One thing that people misunderstand all the time.
I think is that I'm not an historian, but I'm more a person dealing only with language, and so they always think that I'm going to translate some text. Whereas obviously I translate. My idea is to use this material then to speak about history and not only as a translation. And I think this is what I'm asked non-stop if I'm just translating or if I teach translations. Whereas I feel like an historian. And another thing they don't understand very much is why am I studying Chinese history and in Thailand, whereas it's very important because there are a lot of Sino-Thai and they have their own history that sometimes is not well known.
Great. Okay, so my next question is about Vancouver. So we are in Vancouver. Do you know one Japanese food item that was arguably invented in Vancouver?
Absolutely not.
Okay, we will reveal the answer in the video. And final question, what color is a fridge?
Yeah, white.
What does the cow drink?
Milk. No! Grass. Yeah.
Drink, Laura, not eat.
Water.
Okay, good. You presented a 20-minute panel paper. Summarize that 20-minute paper in 20 seconds.
My paper was about basically why merchants could get their money back in Tokugawa society, a place with very limited legal protections and opportunity for enforcement, informal legal channels. And the answer basically is that they relied on people like gangsters, village officials, and other intermediaries to do that. That resulted in a situation where merchants were dependent on people for protection and also contract enforcement, and that made their ability to use their money to influence people much weaker than you might expect.
Oh, great. That was very, very well done. Okay, so speaking of your topic or your field, what is one misunderstood thing in your topic, on your topic, or in your field?
I think something that's quite misunderstood about the Tokugawa period is that since many people know that there's these big merchant houses like the Mitsui and so on and so forth, they assume that there were all these systems in place that made that possible, when in fact why exactly those large-scale businesses emerged is actually not that well theorized or understood.
Okay, great. So now I have two questions which are not academic. My first question is about Vancouver, because we are in Vancouver. What is one Japanese food item that was arguably invented in Vancouver?
Japanese food was invented in Vancouver. I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
We will reveal the answer later. And my final question is, what color is the fridge?
What color is the fridge?
What color is your fridge?
My fridge is black. Yeah.
What does the cow drink?
Cow drinks water.
Okay, great. First question. Summarize your 20-minute paper in 20 seconds. Your time starts now.
Well, I didn't present a paper at this conference. I commented on a book, which
then
was
summarize your comments
about
in 20 seconds.
300 plus pages.
Okay.
So, in the book, we in the panel we discussed the book, which is about Japan's grand strategy, and my comments were basically about how we can understand Japan's grand strategy as not being a one strategy, but perhaps many strategies, and how the importance of considering different instruments of foreign policy and identity play into grand strategy.
Okay, great. What is the most misunderstood thing in your topic or field?
I think that in the field of especially Japanese foreign policy, there's a sense that there is always a very cohesive bureaucratic backing of policy, but actually there's a lot of turf wars between Japanese ministries and different ideas about how topics should be approached, not just between practitioners but academics, and it's much more colorful of a debate despite being under usually the same liberal democratic party in Japan.
Great. Next question about Vancouver. Let's see how much you know about Vancouver. Do you know the Japanese food item that was arguably invented in Vancouver, BC?
Udon?
Okay, we will reveal the answer later. And final question, what color is the fridge?
Depends on the fridge.
Well, choose one color. What's the most common color of the fridge?
Silver.
What does the cow drink?
Milk?
We're still going. What does the cow drink?
Oh, what does the cow drink? Water.
Okay, good.
What does the cow drink?
You said milk.
Yeah, but it's water, right?
Thank you, Ren. Thank you. That was it. Yeah, this was.
We're going to ask Patrick some quick-fire questions. So, Patrick, you are presenting a 20-minute panel. Give us 20 seconds on what it was about.
It was about the future of Japanese studies and the great possibilities that actually exist between cross-disciplinary work between European countries, but also North American countries and Japan, of course.
Right, brilliant stuff. And what would you say is the one thing on that topic that people misunderstand the most?
I think that people misunderstand that it's actually a very good position for Japan now and Japanese studies. There's a lot of interest in Japan from business community, from students and from policymakers. So the stars are quite aligned for Japanese studies, I would say.
Brilliant stuff. And seeing as we're here in Vancouver, what is the one item, Japanese food item, that was arguably invented in Vancouver?
Oh wow, I don't know.
Okay, nor do I. Nor do I. Okay, final question.
Yep.
What colour's the fridge?
What color is?
A fridge, a refrigerator.
Usually white, I think.
What do cows drink?
Cows drink water.
Oh, brilliant, genius. Genius, brilliant, Patrick. That was superb.
But I didn't.
In 20 seconds, what are you giving a paper on here at Vancouver, at AAS?
I'm doing a paper on the Siberian intervention and particularly the experience of soldiers, of servicemen who were sent to Siberia between 1918 and 1922. So it's a ground-up vision or perspective on this conflict.
Sounds fascinating. And what would you say is the one thing that people misunderstand most about that topic?
Well, people misunderstand that it was a very long-lasting conflict that over 4 years, and it's never been really part of the taught history in Japan, and nobody really bothered actually looking into the soldiers' experience, or at least very few people have done it. So it's been neglected, and it's a shame because it comes at a really important juncture in the history of modern Japan, and many things happen after that we keep wondering why they happened.
Right,
and
right.
I think the Siberian intervention perhaps had a role to play, and so it's worth reconsidering.
Yeah, really, really interesting. Okay, into the quickfire rounds. So we're here in Vancouver. So a quick question on Vancouver. What is the one Japanese food item that is arguably invented in Vancouver?
Well, we can argue on anything. You say arguably.
Arguably, yeah.
I would say fish.
Ooh, okay, we're not too far away. We will reveal the answer very soon. Okay, final quick question. What colour is your fridge?
My fridge is light pink.
Light pink. What do cows drink?
Milk. No! No!
What do they drink?
Well, they drink water.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. Great. Okay. Great stuff. Thank you. Amazing stuff. Thank you, Ted. So, in 20 seconds, can you give us your 20-minute paper?
So, I am looking at insular effect, which is the emotional reactions engendered by islands. So I've got an interdisciplinary project on this. I'm trying to think about it here. Looking particularly beyond sort of the islands used as symbols of threat or what's under threat in Japan, and thinking about other emotions that are engendered by islands in Japan today.
Okay, incredible. And on that topic, what is the one thing that you would say people usually misunderstand about it?
Oh, bugger.
Anything about it?
This isn't in the paper, so clearly I haven't given this any thought whatsoever.
That's the point.
That's our point, yeah.
I think we might need another question.
Okay. Just give it a go. Go on.
Freezing up under the lights terrifically here.
All right. Okay.
So I think it's become such a cultural discussion that there's no consideration of the actual geographies of island spaces anymore. This has become a very loose discussion now, and I want to take it back also to the sort of physical terrestrial elements that are involved in this. So that's what I'm trying to do in the project more broadly. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to that tomorrow, but that's what I'm trying to do over the span of the project. So.
That is kind of writing the things that we misunderstand. Okay, brilliant. Okay, two final quick-fire questions. First one, Vancouver. Here we are. British Columbia. What is the one Japanese food product or item that was arguably invented in Vancouver?
California roll?
Wow! Whoa! Bingo!
Gently.
That was good.
Oh, really? Okay.
No, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, last one. What colour's your fridge?
Grey.
What do cows drink?
Milk.
What does the cow drink? Not.
I know. I've got it now.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ted. Good stuff.
Postdoc Visas is an independent, accredited law firm based in the Cambridgeshire area and led by Graham Ross. Graham has over 25 years' experience providing specialist immigration advice to academics and postdoctoral researchers all over the UK. What sets postdoc visas apart from other law firms is that Graham understands firsthand the unique challenges that you encounter while working within the UK higher education and research sector, and how those interconnect with the UK's immigration system. Postdoc visas can successfully guide you to the most suitable visa route, taking advantage of many of the unique and advantageous rules that exist for academics and research appointments within the UK immigration system. So if you have any questions about UK immigration, please visit postdocvisas.co.uk. Back to the video.
So here we are in Vancouver, British Columbia at the Asian Association of Asian Studies Conference.
2026 Annual Conference. So Ra, how are you feeling?
I am jet lagged as hell, absolutely dead on my feet.
What time is it now in the UK?
It must be
What time is it here?
It's 5:30 a.m. in the morning.
5:30 a.m. and we
In
have
UK time, it's 10:31.
10:31. Okay, 10 plus 17. 17 is, yeah, you're right, 5:30.
Yeah.
Yes, the time difference is 7 hours. So yes, we look quite tired and we are quite tired, but that's just jet lag, so don't mind this.
It's been a great day at the conference.
It's been a great day at the conference.
Who did we hear from?
We heard from several fellow academics. You will have watched those little quickfire question sessions.
They're brilliant. They're brilliant. And who would have thought that cows drink milk?
Yes. So the whole idea was a little light-hearted idea of
Very
having
light-hearted.
very light-hearted. Yes, having. I mean, obviously, there's also we ask them to introduce themselves. We ask them about their research, to summarize their papers, which as academics they should be able to do
easily.
They should be able to do like this elevator pitch.
They're all intelligent.
Yeah.
All researching, all teaching, just can't handle milk.
This is a reference to George Carlin. Yes, and the milk question about cows and milk and fridges is just
gold dust, just pure gold
trip
dust.
academics up and tripping academics up. Actually, I didn't know it would be so easy.
Nor would I. It's been a fantastic, fascinating conference so far. What are your impressions, Shazad?
Very good. As AASs go, and I have been to a couple before this one, so this is my third AAS. This is in its element, not too bad, nothing too fancy. One thing actually I noticed, I don't know if you probably noticed this, Ra, that the value that you get for the registration fee has been in steady decline.
Yeah.
For example, my first AAS, which was also in Canada, in Toronto in 2017, I was still a postdoc at the time. You got, for the registration, you got a nice, quite a sturdy tote bag.
Yep.
You had the printed program for free.
Yeah.
And I was surprised this time when we went to get our badges. It was just a badge.
Yeah.
Nothing else. And a voucher for one free drink.
Free drink and a small reception where there is not enough food to go around.
Yeah, not enough food, for which also for the drink, mentioning drinks actually, you otherwise have to pay 11 Canadians for a 330ml can of beer.
To be poured into a glass for you.
Yeah. So that was not
great
very
value for money.
welcoming.
But you are staring out over stunning mountain scenery.
Absolutely,
That's the conference venue. I mean,
that scenery makes it
spectacular.
unforgettable. I think what North America does, and I think what this whole idea of an annual convention, because it's not just the AAS. Every association, every some form of every association actually does this annual convention, and they even like in mid-sized American cities or North American cities will always have this one big convention center with lots of rooms. And the Vancouver Convention Center is an
fantastic venue.
Impressive building, yeah.
I mean, Vancouver though is fascinating, right? Because on the one hand, you've got these beautiful buildings, amazing city infrastructure, and stunning natural beauty. Yeah. And then at the same time, you walk out into the city and you are surrounded by clearly a drug epidemic.
Yes.
Of biblical proportion.
It is quite surprising. And actually, you're right that you're surrounded, because in Seattle, for example, which was my previous AAS 2 years ago in 2024, in Seattle you have a similar problem, but it's very concentrated.
Yeah.
So if you are in downtown Seattle, you will witness some very, very unsavory scenes, especially after dark. Some dangerous maybe scenes, people fighting, people, sometimes trying to kill each other, nobody minding anything. I was telling Ra that somehow these people become invisible to the locals.
Yeah, invisible to everyone. I mean, it's a human tragedy, right? There are people on this city. In fact, sitting here, we are now back in the hotel.
Just outside the window today.
Yeah, just outside. And in fact, every morning that we've been here, there's either been somebody with a meth pipe, a crack pipe, a fight, people bent over, double, clearly high on fentanyl or something. I mean, this is a human tragedy in this city, right?
And then, speaking of AAS, Ra, yes, we spoke about Vancouver. What about the conference itself? Did you go to some interesting panels?
I did.
Did you meet some interesting people?
Yes, I did. But I think for me, the biggest impression at this conference has been how, for the first time ever, I've come to a conference and the background feeling is about how our disciplines, our special subjects, are under threat.
Yeah.
The whole sector feels like it's under threat.
Yeah. It's the feeling is that we continuously have to justify our existence.
Yeah, totally.
Especially because we are in humanities, social sciences, and I don't know how the feeling is in other disciplines, in maybe exact sciences. I don't know if every university is feeling the pinch and every academic is thinking in the same vein, but definitely there is, like, the mood is a bit gloomy.
It's really gloomy, and I feel like it's sort of a reflection of what's going on in the world. There's a sense of uncertainty, a little bit of hopelessness. You kind of look around and you're struggling, but then at the same time, you have got all these amazing things, right? I mean, probably better technology than we've ever seen before.
Yeah.
Advances in research. We should be celebrating. This conference should be a celebration of how amazing everything is.
Which it is.
Yeah, I guess in some ways.
You go to the book display and you see, for example, some of the big American presses like Cornell, Chicago or Harvard. I mean, the amount of books, the number of books they display, these are most recent books that they publish. It's just astonishing. Like, for example, Cornell, like churning, or Hawaii Press. These are really, really big presses in our discipline. And when I say in our discipline, mostly East Asian studies. And they just, obviously, all of this is tied to the academic game that you have to play, publish or perish game. And obviously, they will never be short of manuscripts that will come in, and they will just need to publish them. However, kudos to them. Looking at the selection of books, my thinking was, you know what, this is not too bad. Maybe there is some hope, because there is good research being produced, good, hopeful young people coming to present at these conferences to, as they say in Russian, to see people and to show yourself to the people.
But sadly, a lot of it is just for show, I think. And a lot of these younger scholars, I would argue, are in one sense being exploited by the publishers.
Yeah, most definitely. Not just by the publishers. Publishers, of course, especially big publishing houses that have free content.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is produced for free, which is reviewed for free.
Yeah.
By academics.
Yeah.
Who do this as a service to the profession, who do this as something that needs to be done to uphold the standards. But obviously, ultimately, then that content is sold very, very at very high prices, not just sold to customers. You can't really think of too many customers who would pay good money to buy that. It's sold back to libraries.
Yeah.
Which
sustains the whole structure. But on the other hand,
because of the lack of money in the system, the people that are now working their ass off to get published are not even in tenured positions mostly.
No, and this is what we heard from a colleague, for example, who just published a brilliant book from one of those A-list American university presses, who did their PhD in London at the University of London, and even in Japan, because they were talking about Japan, even in Japan the situation with new jobs, with openings is just, I wouldn't say dire, but it's not very hopeful.
Not going in the right direction. Yeah, I think it's a very problematic situation, and it's interesting as well because you were talking about how reviews are free, essentially, or they're unpaid, and the work is increasingly done just for the sake of the research, but without any profit really. Like, that's to say, you never made a lot of money off publishing academically, but now you're doing it just, in a sense, to gain enough notoriety to get employed, but you're not even being employed full time. And then because all this labour is being required without payment, what you're increasingly seeing is the use of AI to, for example, summarise and provide critique of manuscripts, right? So the reviewers are using AI to speed up the process, or in worst case scenario,
complete the process.
Yeah, complete the process, duplicate the process. And so then you've got this bizarre situation where academics are writing papers which are heavily infused with either AI-generated content or content that's at the very least been modified by AI, and that's then being reviewed by AI.
Again, yeah, it will soon all be AI. It will go one end, come out of the other end.
Which
pretty much will be the same thing.
No?
It is meaningless. I think the big question is that we are facing a crisis of not only confidence, but I think academia is facing an existential crisis. Do we need to continue to do all of this? Is the big question that is on people's minds, and ultimately you have to decide whether academia in its current form is sustainable or even needed.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
I beg to disagree. But
what do we? In its current form, I think we do need it. Yeah. I think you and I, or certainly you, I feel like, your brain has value added. But I do think we could get to a position, if we continue at the same speed of development, even though, as we both know, AI is not really AI. That's to say, it's not really intelligent. Still, the algorithms, the use of massive amounts of data to generate insights, is in effect more valuable to the individual human than another human. But if all of it, if it's actually AI monitoring AI, then the whole purpose of AI, which surely is to benefit humankind, or at the very least benefit living things, is undermined, right?
Absolutely. Well, we will just have to live and see, because there's no telling it now, but you're right. That existential question will remain.
Yeah.
This is the highest stage in a way. I don't want to really kind of overestimate its importance, but if you are in Asian studies, coming to AAS and giving a paper is a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
Especially if you're a postdoc or a PhD student who, has to do it. Again, this is more about, it's not only about networking, it's about actually showing the world what you do,
right?
Showing the world. Obviously, the world, it's a very high-flying word, but let's say your small world of your topic or your field. You
establishing yourself.
You introduce yourself. You introduce yourself to the publishers. In the old days, I don't know if they still do it. I doubt that they do it. In the old days, they would also use this for job interviews, that you would meet at the AAS. And then your potential employers would interview you in your hotel room, or in their own hotel room.
Actually,
in your hotel room. In their own hotel room.
I'm worrying that we are selling people a dream that they are never going to realise. Because if you are a PhD student, have a job interview, present a paper.
Well, I don't know if it's happening anymore, any longer.
Well, exactly.
But this is a very North American thing. This used to be a very North American
You
thing.
think it's just North American?
Yeah, because you never had the same thing in the UK.
Okay, or the rest of Europe. But I'm just worried that we are selling something now.
You're talking about PhD programs.
I'm talking about when you and I were PhD students and we came to our first conferences, it turned out that, I mean, let's be honest, I think maybe in your case you were more motivated. I don't think I was even that motivated when I came to conferences, but it's exactly the fact that I could come to the conferences, I could get to know people, I could get a bit of notoriety, maybe a job interview, all that kind of stuff. And thanks partly to that, I now have a permanent position, right? And I've been working in academia now on and off, if you include scholarships and all the rest of it, for best part of 20 years.
Okay.
Well, I look
Old
at...
man?
Yeah, old lad. I reckon, like, you know, PhD students coming and doing what I was doing then are 2 or 3 times more motivated than I was, but they've got 5 or 6 times less chance of getting a job.
Yeah, well, that's what it is, unfortunately. Yeah. Yes, brilliant people. Again, we shouldn't be too negative and too gloomy.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's all good. Like yes, it is. It's not all good maybe, but it is a tough time for everybody with the wars raging. Even the keynote speaker and the presidential address. Senior scholars mentioned that. However, what's the alternative? You know, just stop doing the work that you love and.
No, I think we need to adapt quickly. AI is, for example, as we were just talking about, that's just a rapid adaptation to what's going on in the world. But I think academia needs to adapt quickly. I don't know exactly what all the answers are, but I feel like we need to stop pretending like we can just go on and make piecemeal changes and start thinking about the really powerful, like fundamental changes that would all feed into the same project, like the keynote speaker. Keynote speaker was talking about heteronormativity and challenging that and the patriarchy.
Patriarchy in Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patriarchy in Korea, you know, this is a great topic in terms of like remaking a society. Maybe she was being ambitious, maybe even naive, but it was exciting in the sense that she was saying, look, we need to do something major and rework society, democracy. Maybe we need to do something similar with the academy.
Well, yeah, you're right. I personally didn't find her keynote address like
compelling,
too preachy. No, I don't think. I think she was kind of more the scholar, the observer, than the activist, which I believe she is, a feminist activist in Korea. But what would you suggest academia do?
It is hard to know, but I think the first thing is to stop selling people dreams that they can't any longer fulfill. Don't pretend.
Not offer PhD places at PhD program.
I mean, we need to recalibrate expectations. So I think in a way, the professionalist or the professional part of academia needs to be scaled back into a form that...
You mean administrative professional?
No, I'm more thinking like this idea that we can go on churning out PhDs that are going to become professors.
I think UK universities are already doing that.
Yeah.
They are already doing that. I think the number of PhD students applying to, but also being accepted by universities, I think has fallen quite.
I'm not sure that's a bad thing. You know, like back in the day.
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
that's not a bad thing. Partly also because, sorry, not to interrupt you, but partly because also the UK universities are facing a certain kind of, like a very difficult situation with finances and with, you know, they can't raise the tuition fees any longer. You have the student debt issue.
Yeah.
So, but
also we need to be more relevant. I mean, people in society mostly don't really give a shit about what their own kids are going into. And what I mean by that is they don't really see the inherent value in academia. They just see it as a means to an end. But we need to create a society and an economy and even maybe a polity that actually believes in the idea of experts. believes in experts, believes in specialisms, that they have a value. And when you go into a pub or a bar or a cafe and you tell somebody, yeah, I'm a professor in X, they don't just laugh at you. They think, oh, cool, that means something. Maybe you can help my kid get a job.
Well, it was 10 years ago now, wasn't it? When Michael Gove actually said about the experts.
We've heard quite enough of experts.
Yes.
Yeah. We watched a whole host of academics receive awards. It was quite exciting, actually. Yeah. Presented by Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy Peluso.
Nancy Peluso.
Yeah, and the presidential address was on durian.
Yeah.
The Southeast Asian fruit. Yeah. Which was an interesting way, durian as method of looking at. And she's a sociologist, so studying the societies through the lens of durian, studying societies through the lens of, you know, what you see. Like we are studying the society through the lens of what we have encountered in the last 2 days.
Yeah, and what we've encountered is a lot of anger, mostly,
Vancouver,
about what's going on in the world.
Yeah, academics were actually, yes, we talked about the future of the field, we talked about the existential crisis, but a lot of the academics are actually angry. Well, for context, AAS used to be an only American, then it became a bit more North American, including Canada. Now it's a global conference, but still the majority of academics here are US based.
And they are fighting back.
They are fighting back in the sense that they are not giving up, at least in their speeches. Today, for example, I heard a lot of academics, including some of the very senior academics who were given kind of what you would call a lifetime award at the AAS, challenging the
Sarah Brown Bollocks. She wasn't
there. Sarah Brown Bullock wasn't there, but I think it was Barbara Watson. I forget her last. A lot of senior academics, Watson,
very upset, but fighting back, telling us that they were there for the next generation. So
Ra, it's not all doom and gloom.
It's not all doom and gloom. The future is bright.
No, it isn't. No, we're not going to the other extreme. Basically, what I'm trying to say is there is hope.
There is always hope.
And as long as there's hope, then we can go on. At least we can laugh at academics telling us that cows drink milk. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Until the next one, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Welcome to Ottawa, where the weather is not very welcoming. So we just arrived at the airport and hoping to take a bus to city center if the bus comes. It should be coming in about 2 minutes. Let's see. Further down. Wow, look at that. Maybe have a beer?
Have a beer.
In the airport?
In the airport.
Maybe watch the highlights in the airport?
In the airport.
Okay. It is not exact. Yeah. You know, in the UK you don't see this forever flame. It's a very Soviet thing. But here there's water. We're back at the Queen's Terminal and the UK, and
we have put UEA back on the Japanese studies map.
Yes, we have.
So we hope you enjoyed the highlights from our fantastic multimedia tour of the Asian Studies Association conference out in Vancouver, with bonus features of cow's milk and snow in Ottawa. See you in the next episode.
Thank you. Please subscribe if you haven't already.
This podcast has been produced with support from the Faculty of Arts and Humanities at the University of East Anglia, UEA. The hosts are grateful to the UEA media production team. Technical assistance has been kindly provided by the technicians at the UEA Media Suite, who have also engineered and edited this episode. The views expressed in this podcast belong solely to those who express them and do not represent the views of the university or its affiliates.